All right, welcome to Run the Damn Kitchen. I'm Michael Severe. Nick Bartholomew will join us in a little while. We'll also hear from the chef at the restaurant we're at. This is Mouth of the South in the Old Market. Ryan Ernst, who's managing partner, will join us and bring some food by and everything. But really good topical guests. The week we're taping this is coming off of the firing of the defensive coordinator at the University of Nebraska, Eric Chinander. We're joined by a former black shirt, of course, NFL linebacker as well, that knows a lot about this program. Jay Foreman joining us. Jay, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited. You know, I mean, being in the Midwest, you don't get a lot of this type of delicacy, especially in Lincoln. But I'm excited, man, and you know, I'm always excited about Husker football.
Yeah. Tell me what's your food background? Like, where did you grow up originally? Yeah. Was it your mom who cooked? Was it grandma who cooked? What was your background?
Yeah, so all my family's from Frederick, Maryland, so that's the East Coast. So it's a lot of blue crab.
Steamed, not boiled.
Yep, exactly. You got to get that right. So we, kind of seafood. We still had the, grilling the ribs and stuff like that. So we had the barbecue. Yeah. So it was mainly my grandfather did all the kind of meats and stuff, and then my grandmother would do all the kind of, the blue crabs and the oysters and stuff like that. And of course, tempura is big, on the East Coast. So from there, I had that, and then. We're kind of like a mix. My mom's from Mississippi, so I got the deep South, that type of, food. And then, being in Minnesota, you get a little bit of that, and then being all over at the NFL. So one thing my dad and my mom always wanted me to do, try something once.
Just try it.
Just try it. And it's actually changed the way I view everything. Just try it once. If you like it, great. If, so be it. If you don't. But it has allowed me to go to different places and appreciate different food because it's a part of part of your culture, and as you get older, you start to appreciate stuff like that more. And even like here, here's a funny story. Is like I grew up, anytime I'd have a steak, I'd have it well done.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Us too.
It's red in the middle.
Same thing.
It's bleeding.
Yep. It's bad for you. Make you sick.
Right. Yeah. That's it. All that stuff.
They told us. Yeah.
Well, then as you get older and get exposed more, and people start explaining to you. Now, especially being in Nebraska, you better not have a well-done steak. You better have it medium or medium rare. So, that's amazing how food can kind of change your mindset and stuff like that.
It does. And then you have kids, and you got to tell them the same thing. Just try it. Just give me one time. Take a couple bites. You might like it. You never know. And maybe, heck, you may try it one time and then come back later and like it even more. Yeah. So. That's good. They taught you that, then you can pass it on to the kids.
I mean, just food, and then the great stuff of holidays and stuff, with food and stuff like that. You get excited about it. So I remember being in Buffalo. Never had smoked salmon before. If you would have thought when I left Buffalo I'd have smoked salmon, but now it's one of my favorite things.
It is by far one of my favorite breakfast things to eat. Yeah. Definitely.
So it's I love all different types of food and. Food and music and all that stuff goes hand in hand.
Yeah, we're going to bring Ryan, come back over here. So we're at Mouth of the South in the Old Market. Ryan Ernst has lived the heck of a journey restaurant-wise. Of course, in Florence, and that great little spot. You had the fire, moved to the 72nd in Ames. Now you're out west in the old Ragazzi spot, and now you're down here. First of all, just like, why Mouth of the South? How did you get involved in Louisiana cooking?
My family lives down there. It's been a passion. I love the food. It's unique to the area, for New Orleans, Louisiana. You don't go out of it and see it. It's just, part of that, area culture. Flavors, you drive through the streets, you smell it.
Yeah.
Here in Omaha, you smell food, but you smell, Mexican food, this, that. Down there, you smell, what you're smelling. It's just... It's like home every time you go there.
Tell me what you brought out to us.
So right now you got red beans and rice. I threw in some of our house-made andouille sausage, and then I did a little etouffee, crawfish etouffee, and then I got some boudin balls coming here in a second. So
tell me about your etouffee. Do you have a certain style the way you make it? Is this what you were taught when you first started cooking, or tell me how you develop? Because there's so many different kind of ways to make it.
I like it not so heavy on tomato, more roux, stew base. Some get real tomatoey, chunky. It's not my favorite. I've been to a couple places that they're my favorite place to go, and I go outside of what I normally get, and then I get that, and I'm like, that's not.
Yeah.
Do you change like your recipes or what you've learned from like different parts of New Orleans? Because I know like where I grew up, different parts of Minneapolis, is different, as far as barbecue, and different parts of the United States. So is it different parts of where you're from around the New Orleans area? Do you cook? Is it different way you prepare your meals?
Honestly, I just kind of found what I like,
right?
And the flavors that I like, and I just kind of molded it into that. I mean, you go Lafayette, you know, where my family lives.
That's more boudin.
It's a completely different, like there's people from Lafayette, though, they come and they're like, well, you don't put rice in my gumbo. I put the rice in my gumbo. I'm like, well, everywhere I've ever had it, rice is always in it. So just little things. But that's just, culture, Well,
even when you go to northern Louisiana, and I had never had blonde gumbo. I'd never had the light gumbo before. It was always very dark, growing up. And I went up there and I was like, what are you guys doing with this gumbo? But that's just the way they do it.
Texturally, it can be all over the place. Some are runny, real dark, rich roux. Some are thicker, but still kind of a darker roux. Then you get like your blonde roux, where it's almost like a chowdery kind of texture to it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Most places here, by the way, you want to taste some stuff, Jay. Most places here that I've learned is it's rice and beans.
Yeah.
You seem to have a better combination of beans and rice.
Yeah. If y'all want some hot sauce, I can grab hot sauce.
I will always take it. Tell me what kind of hot sauce you have.
Louisiana, man, the only.
There you go. That'll work. All right. Yeah. We appreciate it, Ryan. Thanks. We'll continue with the food and trying it as well. So we know kind of where you grew up and what kind of food you got. When did you first start playing football? Like when was it the 6-year-olds like a lot of kids, or when did you jump in?
It was crazy that my dad always never pushed me to play football.
Did he want you to play something else because that's what he did? You know what I mean? Sometimes parents do that.
He just kind of protected me from it because it's not a long career, and he was just getting done playing, probably with injuries and stuff, and seeing what I see now or whatever. But I remember I always wanted to play, and my fondest memories of growing up with my grandfather, grandma, and my just holidays and Christmas watching football. My grandma really knew a lot of football, so I always wanted to play. So they had tryouts, or you could sign up, and my dad wouldn't take me over there. So I got out one morning, got on my bike. He was still asleep, and rode my bike over there.
How old were you?
At that time, it was. Well, he didn't let me play 4th grade, so it was 5th grade.
So you're about 10 years old.
Yeah, so I rode my bike up there. It was like 3 miles, signed up, forged his signature, and borrowed money from one of my friends. His name was Brian Jacobs. We're still great friends now. He lives in Chicago. So I paid the sign-up fee.
Yeah.
He took the pads home, and I held it from my dad for 2 weeks. And then finally, practice is about to start. And I remember not even eating at school. I was so scared because I lied to my dad. And so finally I broke down and told him. And he said, you know what, if you want to play that bad, I just got 2 rules. Be a good teammate and play as hard as you can. Now, I didn't know what I was doing. Of course, they put me at running back. And then the rest took off from there. And, I think football is just in our blood. All my uncles went to the University of Miami. So my dad, 2 uncles went. And then my oldest uncle went to the University of Cincinnati. I played offensive line, and then my uncle Larry, he was at Bowie State or Morgan State. Excuse me. And then my grandfather played basketball at Bowie State. So we a family background of sports, and my dad kept it simple for me: just play hard and be a good teammate, and because he maybe thought that I would be a decent athlete, but. After that, he's always been there.
There's some people who may be watching this that don't know your dad was Chuck Foreman. One of the greatest running backs of all time.
Right.
Basically invented the spin move for running backs.
Right.
Was one of the first guys that caught the ball out of the backfield at a high clip as well. You hit it from Chuck Foreman. That's just funny to me.
It was funny,
thinking
man.
about that.
Yeah, when I got home, and I was dead tired too, man. When I ride my little huffy bike all the way up there, but I wanted to play.
That's hilarious.
And since I put in that effort, he knew I really wanted to play, and he didn't. What my dad always did is he tried to protect me from the pressure of being his son. I didn't really realize how great he was until I started getting a little bit older and started kind of knowing what was a good football player or not. So he always tried to keep it simple from me or for me. And to be honest with you, I wish he kind of like talked more highly of me because that actually motivated me. He knew I always was kind of had that carrot out there for me.
Sure.
But it was good. We grew up together, and you go through the pressure of being his son. Playing in his shadow in 49 states besides Nebraska now. When he comes here, he's Jay Foreman's dad. Everywhere else, I'm Chuck Foreman's son. But, it's created a unique relationship between me and him. Yeah. And, I think it helped both of us as well.
That's awesome. Ryan's back with again. So the boudin balls are one of those things that, at least back in the day, when you would go, you didn't know if there'd be any left by the time you got there, right, in the restaurant. But now here, bigger kitchen, more room, the boudin balls are always going to be available?
Oh, yeah, we don't run out. I mean, we work hard, over the years growing and, getting used to, high volume, this and that. We've gotten a lot better at keeping product prepared and, ready to serve. So
yeah, not giving away the secrets, but what is the key to good boudin ball?
You got to cure the pork right. You got to braise it slow. Don't rush it. Let it fall apart on its own. Don't try to force it. And then once you get to that point, it's easy. Make sure your seasonings also. You got to have it seasoned right. So you got the spice, but you also have the salt. You can't just have spice and no salt. So yeah, I mean it's delicate. It took a lot, in the beginning to get that texture down, that flavor down, and then obviously as we grew, having to make more, you had to double, triple the recipe, and it was, it took a little bit to tweak it, but yeah, we got it down.
One of the things about boudin, of course, back down south, chicken, pork, crawfish, yep. Shrimp. Have you tried doing the boudin balls with something besides pork?
I play around with it. I've done crawfish for house parties and stuff like that, yeah. But as far as here, we're doing chef features now at both locations. Every 2 months we'll roll out a new menu for those. So we'll probably start throwing some different stuff on there. We have all the ability to do it. We have our soft sausage stuffer. We have grinders. We have everything to do it all in house ourselves. So
yeah, you've been doing this for a long time, obviously, but 2 locations. How difficult has that been on you, especially with the distance between the 2 locations?
Yeah, that's probably the hardest part. We have a great management staff. We got both locations, set. We couldn't ask for better people on that standpoint. They take care of everything. Make that transition a lot easier for us. We just kind of build our own little family. And it's nice to grow what I started out in Florence to this. Like I never saw it going this way.
Yeah, it was nice for Greg to come along, Cutchell Management to come along and help you guys, right?
Absolutely. It was a blessing for
obviously
sure.
Obviously, RIP to Greg, but that was just made it a lot easier for you overall. Yeah.
Yep.
Nick Bartholomew joining us, of course, from Over Easy, and Dan Line Pop-Up as well. Jay Foreman with us, Michael Severe, Ryan Ernst, who's a managing partner, of course, chef here as well. It's hard to have 2 locations, man. You've worked with a lot of different places. What's the hardest thing for you've seen balance-wise when you're trying to have 2 locations?
The different concepts makes it difficult because in lots of ways there's no overlap. For me, that was the hardest part, is that you can't sell one thing that you could sell at the other. Mm-hmm. And I think that the people right now is one thing that's different. I was a young man at Charlie's on the Lake at 17 years old, serving tables out there on the patio, and it was a different world. You worried about different things. There was competition to be a server at Charlie's on the Lake because people wanted that, patio. They wanted to take home $400 a night as a 20-year-old kid. And so now it's not like that. I think that people have found that benefits and 401ks and,
more important.
Those things are really important to your family as you grow, and restaurants isn't a situation, right, isn't a conducive relationship with those kind of extra benefits. And so I think you lose out on some really great people. Mm-hmm. I think you lose out on some really strong momentum that could carry your business to the next stage in different ways. But in his case, I think that the great product is what caught everyone's eye. The ability to, kind of congregate in an atmosphere that Omaha hadn't had before. Really, wasn't doing well. Your spot on 114th and, the things down there were some of the best they've seen, and thank God for Kutch, because we all miss him, and the things that he was able to help everybody do in this town made it better. But
no doubt about
the people's the hardest thing right now, but that's different as of 9 years ago.
I got a question for you, man. I don't mean.
No, go ahead.
I always wanted to, as a chef, right? Mm-hmm. So say you came to my house and we were watching a Husker game, hopefully when they're winning, and I get on the grill. Like, how hard is it for you to be like, oh yeah, man, that's not enough spice. That's not right.
I try to stay away, but sometimes I just kind of slide in and I'm like, hey, just start talking, and then the next thing I know, I'm doing the cooking, because it's like it's hard to watch sometimes. Like you see people, they got the grill too hot and they're just burning it, and it's like, come on, man, I got to eat that.
Yeah. Like, it's like Stephen King standing over somebody writing a novel.
Right.
He's gonna have to say something.
Yeah. I always wondered about how hard that would be, and some guys will get offended, but hey, come on, I just want to eat good food. So if I can learn something. And I think you learn a lot about people. You can talk about this, cooking and how they cook, and how, you can learn how they really, operate on a daily basis. Because, for me, learning how to marinate, my little ribs or something like that is a lot different than when I first started just buying them right out of the, from the package.
Sure.
Throw a little spice, throw it on there, and just trying to get done as fast as possible.
Yeah. So. Or even down in the South, when I was growing up, we boiled them. Mm-hmm. We would make a boil if we were going to boil crawfish. Mm-hmm. We made a boil like that. Yeah. Then we boiled the ribs.
They were terrible.
Then we put them on the grill.
They're terrible.
I was like, I didn't know any better. You didn't know any better. No. And then I moved to Texas, and I was like, oh,
you actually can cook these.
You do stuff with ribs and brisket. Yeah, even though we cook pretty well in Louisiana, we got some weird ways.
Yeah, no, my mom, I learned a lot from her of what not to do growing up because, I love her, but she cannot cook. And if she hears this, I'm sorry, but it was bad, And then when I lived with my dad, he liked to cook. He'd always try new things and do new things. And that's kind of where I started to curve a little more into wanting to cook. And then I just kind of rode with it. It started as a part-time job, just something at night because there was always work. During the day I worked a different job, but at night there was always something else, and I just got into doing that, making pizzas, burgers, Phillies, just the easy grind. And I realized I kind of liked it. And then I got out of it for a little while, went back to Louisiana. I was an iron worker, and it's the rush, though, right? Yeah.
It's a lot like, this is a weird analogy maybe, but the team in that kitchen is a lot like a football team because if you got one person who's not pulling their weight, it's really obvious. And then the rush of being in that kitchen on a Friday night at 8 o'clock, trying to avoid people, getting everything done, everybody doing their job, it's very similar.
Yeah, I don't know.
You miss that rush.
How many kitchens you've actually got to watch operate, but when you're in the heat, you're watching everybody just simultaneously move around everybody. Yeah. You don't know they're there, but you can feel them.
Feel them, right?
Yeah,
it's just
right. It's like a dance.
Yeah,
ballet.
It's
right?
fun.
It's a ballet.
And you just the output you can put out is it's fun that's where I get my Adrenaline, yeah, man. You put me in on a Friday night with a line out the door, I'm ready. That's fun.
Yeah.
Sitting still is where it kind of gets.
Oh no, that's why it takes a special person to be in this industry. There's something wrong with us. There's nobody that wants to do this. You got to have something just mentally off to just take that kind of punishment and get paid like crap for years and just grind through it just for whatever purpose you feel is fit for you. But I love it. It's.
Taking it back to football in Nebraska, because the person that's in charge of this restaurant has got to make sure everything is ordered and the bills are paid, much like a head coach. Yeah. If that guy isn't in tune with his staff,
that's hard.
It's not gonna work.
It's leadership. It's being there. You got to know how you can kind of coach me if I'm struggling versus coaching him.
Yeah, you can yell at me.
You're right.
Yell at him.
Yeah. I like a little warm and fuzzy. But, it's huge in anything you do, but especially in a kitchen like that. I've only seen the TV shows, but it's definitely about, it's a team concept. It's no different. You're talking about the adrenaline rush. I'm sure as you are coming in on a Friday or what, say you got a big event coming on, you start to prepare for that. Yeah. It's no different than a game. When I used to get ready for a game on Sunday, as you start to get to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you start to change, and you got to put in your best effort to do it. And then the only way you can do it is being focused and making sure everybody else is focused. And that's what, good restaurants that I've been in is obviously the service and the consistency. Because you want to be able to come, week one and then say you come back another 2 weeks that you get the same, good food, service, attention to detail. And it starts with leadership. You just can't, because some people have, this as whether a cook or a server, they probably have talent. Yeah. Sometimes you need to learn or you got to learn them and to bring it out of them. It's just no different than football. And we've seen, obviously with, Nebraska, not just Scott Frost, but the last few, and, it's just a leadership thing. And I wanted to ask you something. Or you guys.
And while he's answering it, you try the boudin ball. So
I've been zeroing in.
I will give you a shot.
Looks like a hash brown.
Sometimes, with Nebraska, I think maybe in the restaurant industry, sometimes you can hear about a chef, right? And say that he did something 15 years ago and took a restaurant to extreme. How hard is it not to be influenced by what they did 15 years ago and to what they could possibly do now?
Because times have changed.
That's one thing I was actually, thinking about when you were talking. We grew up different kitchens, different mentalities, different attitudes, different structure. You had guys screaming at you. You know, it was a whole different narrative. Now you can't do that. You're not going to get the same production. You try it. Yeah. You're not going to get any output from it. It doesn't work. It's not effective. You got to find a different way to, like, you know, curve that.
That's the most truth I can tell you right now. That's the biggest change that I've ever seen. The school that I was raised in, behind Eve Menard at Charlie's on the Lake, you were expendable.
I know Eve. Yeah, Eve is ruthless.
It is. He's French Canadian, and he doesn't learn your name for the first year.
Yeah, sure.
I'm telling you the truth. And so, like, you were in that kitchen, you were a piece of equipment. Yeah. Is that the only way you
I worked with Don Lasoli, so.
No, you know. Yeah.
I mean, I love the man to death. He is probably one of my biggest mentors of all time, you know, growing up and learning things. But, man, he's rough. I mean, you learn a lot. I mean, granted, the way I grew up, it was kind of the same thing, you know, rough. You didn't get anything handed to you. It wasn't, you know, pat on the back, you know. It was figured out, you know. Like, if I know it, I expect you to know it.
Yeah, make it happen was the thing in my house. Yeah. So when I went to the military, when they said make it happen, I was like, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, and there's no excuse.
Make the end result end up where it's supposed to be. I don't care how you get there.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. There's nothing else.
Well, you see what kind of person that you have on staff as soon as you subject them to that kind of, you know, warfare. Yep. You know what I mean? As soon as they're in the kitchen and you treat them, you know, so either they can take it or they can't. It's not really a situation where they grow to love it. It's they love it right now, or they'll never love it.
They'll never love it.
You know?
My rule starting was always, let's be better than what we dealt with in the past. You know, you worked in so many avenues and so many, you know, different settings as manager, server, whatever it is. Try to be different than what you were around. You know, be the change. You know, don't bring that volatile, you know, stuff.
BS, sure.
Yeah, here. You know, be the difference. You know, try to be more cumbersome and warm and whatever. I mean, granted, you still have to, you know, drop the hammer when you need to drop the hammer, but you know, just don't be an ass. You know, you don't need to come in here with a power trip all day. Like, be different. You know, be what you hated. Be different, you know. That's my biggest press.
It's the golden rule, man. Yeah, treat them like you want to be treated. What do you think of the boudin ball?
Boudin is awesome.
Isn't that good? And it's light. It looks like it's going to be real heavy,
but it's not.
And you try it, and it's light. Yeah, no, that's really good. I'm a big fan of those. So let's. A little bit of Nebraska stuff, obviously, what's happening now.
I mean, we're grubbing. We here.
I know.
We're breaking bread, so it's, you know,
so
you're gonna get.
First of all, what is under the etouffee?
Crawfish.
No.
Grits. Sorry.
Is it, I thought it was. I wasn't. I was thinking, is this polenta? Is it what is it? It's grits. That's perfect. I like that. That's a much better.
Makes it creamy.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Kind of blends in with the sauce a little more than rice.
And people are using grits a lot more now because the rice have higher carbohydrates, and people are trying to cut their carbs.
I just think it tastes better.
It tastes better. It does.
I mean, for me, I think it just tastes better.
Keto occasionally at the house. Was the move with Eric Chenander, was it the right time? Was it need to be done? What do you think?
I mean, I guess at the time when you have a bye week, in that, I think it's the right time.
Yeah.
You know, I think there was other factors that didn't help out. I think the inexperience of playing in that defense really hurt some guys. I think a lot of guys that maybe they were counting on to play well haven't. I mean, let's be honest. You know, I could go either way. I mean, Mickey's the head coach. I'm going to support whatever he decides. But, you know, I think, you know, Bill Bush is going to, you know, you're going to come in and do a good job. So, you know, it's an unfortunate part of the business of coaching. And that's probably why they get paid so handsomely. But, you know, I can see where Mickey said he didn't really see an improvement. And then I think, you know, kind of one of those things, if the improvement isn't as paramount, if you're winning. I've been there, right? I've been in Buffalo where we won a game 42-35 and the defense was actually playing like garbage, but we're winning, versus when you're not, and then you lose against Northwestern, and the way they lost to Northwestern. You know, North Dakota, I felt like the first half was a little bit of travel hangover, and then you saw the second half, and I was like, okay, well, this is what we should see. And then Georgia Southern and then Oklahoma, when it looked the same, you know, the execution, and then like we talked about, you know, last night, I think the biggest thing was the loafs of some of the players. Which has nothing to do with the defensive coordinator. You know, I mean, just like what we talked about my dad, right? He had two rules: be a good teammate, and when I come, and when I'm at you better play hard.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't care if you're the worst on the team. He's like, I just want you to be a good teammate and play hard.
What's it like on Sunday, Monday, whatever level you're at, and you're in that tape room and with the loaf guys?
Sit next to the other guys that aren't loafing.
You know, to be honest with you, look. if there's any player out there that said they never loaf, they're lying to you.
It's the hardest game in the world.
Right. I've loafed before where you like, hey, you know, he's 2 inches from out of bounds and he's surrounded by 3. I've done that, right? But I've never really been like that. You know what I'm saying? So I've never been on the brunt end of that. Mm-hmm. Now, I've seen a lot of guys that have dealt with it. Now, what you're dealing with is the coach going to come down on you, but the players are going to look at you sideways. You're going to lose trust. And really, to be honest with you, when I was a freshman starting, that's what motivated me more than anything. It was a healthy fear of not letting my teammates
fear
down.
Of failure.
Or literally walking into the training table, or to our training table, and a basketball player, Mikey Moore, Eric Strickland, would be like, man, that dude wasn't playing hard enough.
Right.
Yep.
And now, always knew to play hard, but when you're tired and you want to, and a lot of times in sports, and you know this too, is like sometimes you got to be able to will yourself to do things that you just don't feel like doing.
Oh, absolutely.
And that was it for me as a young player. And maybe they don't have that healthy fear, I feel like healthy peer pressure is needed in everything, right? I don't want to let my teammate down. I want to do the best. You know, I always say this, you know, you want to operate, you know, individually, right? When I showed up to a game, I felt like I worked hard all week. I'm the starter. I want to play the best I can play because I want to be competitive. But I'm thinking collectively. I'm doing it for the betterment of the team. So I don't say, oh, I need to make this play or do something that's not the best for the team for my individual, you know, accolades. Because I feel like it always will come around, you know. Certainly. And so, you know, if they could adopt that type of mentality, and we're at the point right now where I think some guys thought, you know, I would say like me looking in the mirror, yeah, I wore 56, but was I Lawrence Taylor? No, I was Jay Foreman, right?
Yeah, right, yeah.
So a lot of these guys need to look in the mirror and make sure they know who they are and not think they're Grant Wistrom,
right.
Jason Peter, or Mike Minard, Mike Brown, right?
At this point, I'd take some Brandon Rigoni.
Right, but there's nothing wrong with that, right? Yeah. But then some of the best defenses are, like, if you want to look at like recent, like the New England Patriots, they were a really good team defense, right? Sure. You know, Willie McGinnis, he might have 5 sacks, Vrabel might have 6, but they all do their job.
Leaders.
Right? So like when they beat St. Louis, down in the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
That was good team defense. Willie McGinnis probably only got 4 true rushes. But you know what his job was?
Make sure Marshall Faulk
couldn't get out in the passing. So if they could adopt that type of mindset, 8 weeks from now, it's a totally different conversation.
Totally.
Well, and that's the thing, like, how, like, I'm an LSU guy, so this whatever. But obviously, I'm sad Mickey Joseph and Billy Bush are here. But it's you know, it's interesting to see what happens. But like, obviously, living in Nebraska, I've watched Nebraska play for a while now, and you do, like you said, you just don't see that team building. You know, like defensively, it's just like every man for himself instead of them collectively playing. And I just don't get, like, I mean, you go back to after Pelini, basically. I mean, with, what was it, Mike Riley?
Yeah.
Like, it just seemed like they never got that back. Yeah. And I don't know what causes it. You play.
Fear.
Well, yeah.
Fear
I think a little bit of that. I think a little bit of change of times, because you got to think, and I had to change my mindset from talking to you all the time, right? So a kid coming out of high school, just say from Central, or just past Central driving in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Say he's a 4-star recruit. By the time he gets to wherever school he goes to, if he was played as a sophomore, he had probably done more interviews and had more social media attention that I might be, for sure, that I ever had in college.
Gotcha.
And I'd be willing to bet neck and neck when I was in the pros. Mm-hmm. And you got to think.
You played 8 years?
Yeah. I played 9 years in the pros. Started 4 years here.
Yeah.
You know, up for the Buckets, first alternate, you know, with led the league in tackles twice, done everything you need. They probably had more interviews before they even put on a Nebraska uniform.
That makes sense.
And you get what I'm saying?
So it makes their head big. They're thinking,
and everybody's thinking, everybody sees the, like when they have those documentaries, the Justin Fields, and you got to make the decision because it's the best thing for you. Mm-hmm. Well, the quarterback, everybody's coming in thinking that they need the individual type of mentality as a quarterback, when actually the league, the NFL, and our good teams, that when I played way back in the day, were built on nut and bolts guys.
Yeah.
Jay Foreman's, Matt Hoskinson's, the Verzals, Tim Carpenter, Joel Macavickas, the Terry Keneally's, guys like that were good players, but we did everything we needed to do so Grant, Jason, Terrell Farley, and those guys could make the big plays, but collectively we were there. So I think that's it. I think if these guys really did a little bit more, and which is odd because Scott's the head coach, really dive into the history of Nebraska, which I had to do, and it changed my mindset about playing for Nebraska. It really did. I remember being at Super Saver, and it was in the middle of it was actually right before we went into two-a-days or whatever, fall camp, and this lady comes up to me. And she says, how are you guys going to be this year? And I was like, well, ma'am, I think we're going to be pretty good. She's like, are you guys going to win a championship? And I'm like, I hope. I'm trying to give her a T.O. line. Well, if we work hard, this, and this. She was like, no. The reason why I'm asking you is because we plan our Christmas vacation. We don't do Christmas presents. We take our family. We're going to and we have to save up for it that we're going to go to one of the bowl games. Whether it's, at this time, it was either Phoenix or Miami. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what? I'm playing for a bigger right then, this is actually more important than me. Yeah. Right. Because this lady right here, we're on the same level. We're both shopping at Super Saver, right?
Getting rich.
She's, her life is not put on hold, but based on what we do as a football team. So when you take the field, I didn't know her for Ada. I couldn't even pick her. If she walked in here right now, she said, I wouldn't know. But I knew it's bigger than me. And then once you start to dive in the history, it becomes more important to you. We talked about the U. We talked about that. Yeah. How those guys, they talked about it's a family, where these guys are heavily invested in the university with the players.
Yeah. When you take their number, they come and present it to you.
They present it to you. When you start on defense, they present it to you. So when, if you were a linebacker, I'd be in meetings with you, not because I've already done everything I need to do. I'm trying to help you realize what we were able to do, and that's one of the things. I want those guys to be able to finish a game totally spent, body withered in the locker room, in your girdles or whatever there were, and just be in hugging each other. That's something you're never going to forget, right? And that's the things that you can draw back on.
Yeah.
When you need it, when times you're struggling in life.
I'll tell you, Ryan, something he was saying about that woman and her investment in the program. People save up their money to go out, right? They come here, they get a meal. It's your responsibility to bring them a little joy.
Absolutely.
You take that in? You think about that when you're putting together the meal?
When I was in Florence, what I loved the most about it was, obviously I was in the kitchen all the time, but where the window was to sell the food out, you could see the dining room. Mm-hmm. And the greatest thing ever was watching somebody take that first bite, because you just see their face. Their face says everything. They can give you all the words they want, but the face describes everything. Their reaction on that bite that's the most gratification you can get.
Yeah, yeah. And then, especially now with the economy tight like it is, people want to go and they want to satisfaction, whether they're going over easy or they're coming, or they're just running over the down line. They expect it to be really good because they're putting their money in it,
right?
Absolutely.
And that's one thing I think Omaha can do better. I think that we have fantastic food. I think we have world-class food here now, and that's come a long way in the last 10 years.
Oh, yes.
But I think that one thing we can do better when, we all travel, and, people from Nebraska travel, is places like Mouth of the South are immersive. You know what I mean? You don't just taste the food. You see the doors. You see, what feelings, that you can dredge up from if you had a trip to Louisiana, if you were doing something, or the last time you had boudin balls, whatever it may be. That's really what I think, restaurants and football and all those things are, is it's an escape. And like whether that lady was booking her, Christmas vacation or coming down here for a nice meal, it's all about trying to find, peace. Trying to find your happiness. Yeah. And I think that's what restaurants can give or take from you. And, it's a shame with the world, like you said, with social media and Yelp. Yeah. It's hard to read about yourself on Yelp.
I don't read it anymore.
You can't.
I just look at it and I just laugh. I'm like, well, we're not for you. That's what I say. Like, I don't let it. I used to let it just. Oh man! Did
you respond? Did you get on there and respond?
No, I wasn't allowed to.
Oh, good.
Everybody'd see me get a little hot, and they'd take the phone from me, and I'm like,
it's the best choice, man. And with employees, you know what I mean. Now it gives them a forum. It gives them a platform, and people are crafty on the internet these days, and they can do things.
They put a lot of thought into it.
They find a way. They find a way to take what you say and extract from it something that wasn't even close to what you said, and then they run with it, and now you're just in a world of.
Yeah, I wanted to ask. There's another question, and I don't mean to overtake.
Hey, man, go ahead.
As a running a restaurant and managing, how does that affect how you manage people? Because of like what you just said, they can take something and then run with it. And sometimes I think people will see things. I always say people show up to a movie and already kind of written their review because of what they wanted. So how do you like navigate that? Or you just say, you know what, I'm going to be consistent because if I'm consistent, consistency will be better than just one-off time.
I mean, you always have the ones you can work with, and then you have the ones that pretty much the minute they sit down, they're going to just – it's going to be rough, and you're going to try your best. And what I always tell them is they're going to, either they're going to be a problem, they're a problem, but they're only here for 1 hour. It's 1 hour out of your life. You got to tolerate it. Once they're gone, they're gone. Yeah. Start over. Yeah. And that's the mindset I try to, say. Biggest thing is if there's a server that has an issue with a customer and they just don't jive, we'll move them away. We'll bring somebody else in, try to, bring it back, or bring just a manager over to the table, let the manager take over the table and just try to make sure all points of service are taken care of. Then there's no way that they can really, have too many issues, but it doesn't happen too often. Yeah. But I mean, when it does, the best thing is just try to be as proactive as you can and hope you can salvage whatever there is to salvage. And if, they're just not able to be, then they're not able to be, and you just wait to see what's going to come of it.
Is there a time during the week, I'm sorry, real quick, where you kind of do a post-mortem where you look back at how the week went or how the night went?
Yeah, we do.
In your head?
Yeah, we do post-shift with staff every night. Just kind of get a feel how the night went, what they saw, what they need, what, especially down here with us, really what we opened in March, so 4 or 5 months in, just trying to collectively get an idea of, what areas, we can adjust and do and, setups and so on. So it's important to have pre-shift and post-shifts every day just to, because right now the biggest, most important thing is to hear what your staff says. Yeah. Back in the day it was, we don't care, listen, do, whatever. Now it's important just to make them feel involved.
And, the interesting part that I've always found is, as an owner is when the back of the house is working on all cylinders and everything's beautiful, the food's coming out on time, it's picture worthy, all those things, the front of the house is having some trouble. Mm-hmm. And then, as soon as the front of the house finds peace, something's going on in the back. And being that circus master, what I mean? Because you can't walk up to a guy like this who has the ability to flip a switch on you because of something going negative and say, hey, man, we're drowning out there. Yeah. Keep kicking butt, you know what I mean? And then vice versa, I've had to go to tables where you just have to be the puppet master and you just smile and you try to get them, as happy as you possibly can and get them involved in the experience that you're trying to bring them, or even explain to them why you chose some things for the ambiance or the ingredients and kind of drag them into the immersiveness with you, you know what I mean? To show them that there was more, that there is thought in it, that it was born in Florence, that it didn't just show up in the old market one day out of nowhere, that there was work, sweat, and tears and history behind it, just like Nebraska.
One of the things that influenced me when I go places to eat, I won't say his name, but we were rookies, and we'd always go, in Buffalo, there wasn't anything like this, it was, Outback.
They do cut their hot dogs in half and put them on the skillet grill.
Yeah.
With a little bit of water.
We didn't have much, but we'd go. We
go to Wex.
We weren't making much money. Yeah. But I remember sitting down, and he would order something, send it back. Order something, send it back. And I'm sitting there, it's like, dude,
stop.
You're reading the same menu as me. Right. So I always try to be conscious of the people in the kitchen and then their job. I mean, I know that they would be cringeworthy when we come in there, and then, you didn't want to be associated with it. So when I go places, I always try to ask questions to and you can tell sometimes if it's busy and a server's stressed out. I try to break the ice. Like, hey, man, you need me to get up and
get some ice
for you, And then they'll start laughing, and then they'll say thanks. Yeah. You always want to make somebody's job easier because it's not easy being in that.
That's few and far between, Jay. Yeah. But that's few and far between.
I was like, when it's 4 or 5 times, I mean, we'd be eating at a little place we're supposed to be in and out. An hour later, it's because
he's sending stuff back.
Send it back.
Yeah. I did pizza for much of my life. That was always a job you could go back. I could go spin, I could go cook, I could go deliver. Right. And you get to where, I tip. because I lived off tips.
Yeah.
So I tip. I also know what it's like when someone comes in and they're mad because the pizza had a bubble on it or something like that.
Right.
Not, you know how you deal with that. You make them a new pizza.
Right.
Don't ask any questions.
Yeah.
So like when I go to a restaurant, that's always in the back of my head. Always going to be in the back of my head. The way I was treated.
Yeah.
I don't want to treat
because no one's there to make you upset.
No.
You know, this guy's not back there prepping most of the hours of his day to have you come in and be, you know, mad. You know what I mean? And be upset about what you're putting out.
We don't do this to give you crap for food. You know,
Right.
that's not why any of these guys are here. We're here because we enjoy what we do and we want to, you know, have fun with it. Like, we're not here to just put slop on a plate and tell you to have at it. Like, that's, I don't know. When
We're
people
trying to
get
build a culture.
Yeah, when people get kind of the daggers, like we were talking earlier about reviews and stuff, they used to bother me, but then I just look at all the positives. Like, I just only look at the positive reviews because they always outweigh that one every now and then negative.
Right.
But yet that one negative is like a dagger more than anything else. But
because it hurts, because you put your heart and soul into it, right?
Yeah,
so
I don't work 15, 16 hours a day for you to just tell me it's crap. Like, that's not.
Or that Jody stirred my drink wrong.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Whatever it was.
you know, working 90 to 100 hours a week, you know, when I started, you get to the point where there's nothing left, you know, and you still got to go into a Friday, Saturday night sometimes, and you got home at 2 a.m, you're up at 5:30 getting everything prepped again, and now you're going into Friday, Saturday night service, you got nothing left. Like, you're trying to, like you said, you're just trying to find that gear to, like, okay, we got to just focus. There ain't nobody to take this position. You have to be the one cooking. There's nobody to call. Like, it's on you. Like, we got to do this. Yeah. And then you bust through it, and then the night's over, and then you're not so tired. And then it sucks, because then you want to go to sleep, and you can't sleep.
Yeah. First of all, if you go on Yelp, this is the public service announcement. If you ever do, because you're wondering how a place is, change the filtering to best reviews.
Yes.
And read those
Please.
first, because there's hundreds of them.
Yes.
There's a couple at the bottom. You won't ever get there, because you'll know everything you need to know about best reviews. Just change your filter. That's all you got to do. And that's life.
And
change your filter.
And use an open mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If you're trying to find all the bad to weigh your options on whether to go or not, then just don't even go.
Right.
Look at the good and extract what you want from the positive. Don't extract what you want from the negative. That's a crap way to look at life.
Yeah.
Totally.
Tell me about the toughest part about being in the old market. Because, I mean, we've had some places that have been here forever, and then now you have some new places coming in. You come in with your style of what you've been doing. What's it? Give me the toughest part about it.
It's just different. It's like, you know, out west, everywhere else has been more neighborhood driven.
Totally.
Like Florence was more destination once it got, you know, more popular.
Sure.
Here it's more, it's weird to say, but I didn't realize how much people travel and are staying down here because they're traveling. So
people come from hotels and stuff to eat your food.
Absolutely.
Conventions,
so yeah, and they don't know that Mouth of the South exists. Like, they're coming from out of, you know, wherever, and they type in food near me, so they're searching to look. And the hardest part we've had in the beginning is just getting that to populate correctly, and it's still been a problem. So that's probably, honestly, technology, there's internet, that's the only issue we've had. Other than that, everything here it's been going well. The build out did not go well, but that's a different story.
Was it because of everything that was happening with COVID, not being able to get supplies?
Yeah, our 2 HVAC units, they're huge. They were 2,000 pounds a piece. They were like almost 7 foot tall by 5 foot wide, and they had to roll them through the front door. It took almost a year to get them.
Oh my!
Really?
God. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
And are they on the roof, or did you run out the back?
They're in the back, above the kitchen.
You
No, they're in the building.
Oh, they're in the building?
Ceiling. Yeah.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
Because that's the only way code would allow it?
That's where they were existing.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Wow. That's another part about being down here, is that you got to go with the way it was built.
Yep.
When the market house burnt down, you know, now when we rebuilt the market house building after the fire, now that unit's on the roof, and you know, there's penthouses and you know, apartments above. Yeah. One of those units above we had to purchase because
the noise
and the you know, the escape is going through that home now.
Yeah.
And so
to make it work.
Downtown's
incredible.
Downtown's tough.
What can Nebraska do? They got as taping this, they got in the bye week. Indiana's coming up.
Yeah.
Your feel, what can they do to turn this around?
They need to start putting this They need to put together a recipe like this. This is good. You see, while you're talking, I'm grubbing.
I know, I need a little plate here.
I didn't know you were coming.
You know, to be honest, they need to get back to basics.
Thank you.
You know, and find that fire and desire of what really got them started in football. And it could be done. I mean, they're in a unique. I always try to look at things like, how can you figure it out? Because the season sometimes can go through peaks and valleys. So you're here, You got 8 games left. A unique situation with a new coach. It's not at the end of the season where like I always reference Oklahoma. Lincoln Riley left. He took both quarterbacks left. All the receivers, X, Y, and Z. You still got the same talent that you guys, spend a lot of time and resources at a transfer portal. With the young guys that you have or guys that have been playing, and with the coach everybody seems to connect with. Now, defensively, we just need to get back, and I think they're going to simplify it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Start, with basics, and then just go from there. And then they just need to find that why, right? Like you talk about why you want to make people, you want to see that first look. They need to get back to their why. They're playing football. Hopefully they love it, but then also when they run this new defense, find out why they're doing a certain job, and then that'll clear up everything else. You'll see the team; they can play faster, play more freer. There's been teams that have been the worst teams in the NFL defensively, and they change a little something, and then it's within a week.
Great.
The good thing about defensively, you can change your mindset rather quickly, because if you want another example, Ohio State always has 1, 2, 3, and 4 in recruiting. They struggled last year on defense. And that game against Oregon, the first game, you know what, the same thing would be said about Ohio State's defense and linebackers, like was been saying about Nebraska's this year. Get a new defensive coordinator, they look like a totally different defense. And I'm sure the guys that left like, dang, I wish I was still in college playing in that, think what they could do. So hopefully that's the transition that Nebraska gets to, and then, obviously offensively get back on track.
Yeah. It's a long way to go, and you don't want it to be a lost season, because those guys only have a small amount of time to play football. When we're fans or media people and we're criticizing and we're saying it's over, the season's over, remember that. They have a little window of their life to play college football, and for them, it's still important.
Right, and the season.
So, hopefully they can get to that.
They can do. They got everything they need. Now they just got to go do it.
Tell me any specials, anything you got coming up that you guys are doing down here?
We're running,
or even the West location?
Both locations. We're running chef features. We're doing braised short ribs with grits and roasted carrots. We have Cajun French onion as our soup. What else?
Cajun French onion.
That sounds interesting.
It does.
It's different. It just same style as a normal, but it's got
cheese
a roux.
cheese in it too?
But it's roux based.
Okay,
so it's got a little more thickness to it. It's not that real soupy, watery. We're doing peach cobbler, shrimp salad. So we have a little salad option, and then why am I drawing a blank on the other one? Oh, downtown Fridays we're doing prime rib. So.
Oh, really?
Oh, good. Good idea.
Prime rib.
Yeah. People love that in Nebraska.
Prime rib?
Yep, Friday
good
night,
work,
smoked prime rib down here.
Great idea.
We can't do it at the West location. It's not big enough, but down here for sure.
How often are you out West?
Every day. Back and forth, yeah.
Well, come over easy and have breakfast.
I should. I'm not a breakfast guy, but...
Are you driving a hybrid or anything?
No.
Because that's a lot of driving.
It is, isn't it?
There's no way I can. I'm always hauling something, so I got to have my truck. I got to have my truck.
Wow, man, that's incredible.
Don't right now, but that's a different story.
Oh, no, really?
I had to take it to the shop, get work done, so...
I know the feeling. I just got the bill yesterday for $3,100. I know the feeling.
Cute little Ford Edge. It's like driving a little go-kart.
Is it a fun color for you?
It's black. It's all black. I lucked out.
Lucked out with that.
You'd have got like a little blue. You should get some sunglasses that match or something.
Ryan, we appreciate it, man.
Thank you. It's good to see you again.
And it's, since the first time I met you, you were always so friendly, always messaging back on Facebook.
Absolutely.
Every time I went there, I missed the wings. That was you had. I used to tell people this.
We still got them.
A place called Mouth of the South. Well, there. I used to go there and get them, and I would tell people, and they would say, "Where? What, a New Orleans place with wings?" I'm like, "They're the biggest, best smoked wings in town."
And people was like,
"Yeah, it's exactly." Is that what ended up starting the fire?
No.
Okay, good.
I think we won't get into that.
I'm just making sure it wasn't, because that's. I felt bad because how much I like the wings. If that would have started the fire,
we won't get it. There's so many stories and.
Yeah, I understand.
That was.
Well, thanks for having us in. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. It's good to see you.
Final word from you? Anything about the food or?
Oh, the food was off the chain. I'll be back.
You coming back?
Yeah,
right.
for sure.
Yeah.
I'll meet you.
Yeah, it was good, man. It was
Appreciate
great,
it.
and
Thank you.
so I like the atmosphere too. Real simple. And
I thought we were going to be over there, where the actual. This is just our party room.
Yeah,
over
he
here.
said that he had to plug in, and the only place he could.
Oh, AV. Yeah. Okay. That makes
That's
sense.
why we had to be back
that
here.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but come by and see. It's amazing. When you say March, you opened up.
March 13th.
Yeah, if you haven't been down here yet.
May.
May. Okay, so even less time in March. Yeah, wow. So come on down and see it, of course. Downtown location, and then, of course, the west location. And give me the address for the west location.
16909 Lakeside Hills Plaza.
Have they opened that? Can you go down 168?
Yeah, 168's open now.
All open now, so you go. Yeah, because that made it hard to get in and out.
It sucked. It was a nightmare. It was almost 2 years they worked on that damn thing.
You guys doing brunch still?
Yep, brunch Saturday, Sundays, both locations.
Yeah.
Yep, we start at 9:30 down here on Sunday. So, yeah.
Awesome. Outstanding. Again, thank you, Chef
Absolutely.
Ryan. Appreciate it. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate you coming in,
I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, hey, no problem, man. I want you to get something to eat.
I was looking forward to it. I'm going to tell you, listen, I didn't eat breakfast. I had to make
Good.
I'm making sure my taste buds are ready.
I could have fed you more than that. That's like bird scratch.
It's not too late.
I'm trying to drop it. Yeah, that's all good. I love it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. And congrats. What you got going on? Anything you want to promote or anything? You on the radio?
Yeah, on the radio down in Lincoln, 93.7 The Ticket, and do some Big Ten work. Sirius XM. So that's been fun. But now, look, basketball. All my kids are in high school now. The kids that I coach. Yeah. So now I get to really sit back and evaluate the other coaches. So I'm looking forward to saying, "Oh yeah, he don't know what he's doing."
I gotta say, I'm proud of you.
Just don't get on Yelp.
Right.
No, I'm not. I don't even know how to operate a phone.
I was watching that show you were on a week ago.
Oh yeah,
you were saying everything. It's a different version of you when you're in your City of Papillion stuff.
When
you're in your Saints
I was digging the Saints gear. I was hoping it was showing up.
I know. I think that's part of it. That wouldn't have happened if the Saints wouldn't have come back from down 16 to beat the Falcons that day.
True, but then
because it gave me like a certain amount of.
But then Sunday was just.
Hey man,
I wanted to cry.
Yeah, we were due to lose to them.
No,
we were due to lose to them. 5 turnovers. The referees were against us. No,
they were.
I know.
Anytime they start to reference how many times you won, it's like it's just like
he's
made 30 for 30 of free throws and you brick the
you're gonna miss it.
That always happens.
The announcer jinx.
It almost makes you want to just turn the TV off because you know what's happening.
You just mute it. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks guys. It was fun doing the show, of course, and hanging out. Thanks Jay. Thanks Ryan. Thanks Nick. We'll have another edition, of course, of Run a Damn Kitchen, courtesy of Hurrdat Media. Of course, you can find us on YouTube for the video part of it, and of course, just search where you get your podcast from to see, run, and listen to Run a Damn Kitchen.